thanks everyone, and I hope you had a good lunch. Glad to see you all made it back. So I'm going to stand over this way and try not to pace this time because I'll fall over the table. So I think you guys know who I am by now. Benoit, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello everybody, Benoit Della Porta. I've crossed the channel for you yesterday. Worked for Unit4 for about 13 years now, heading the cloud migration team at Unit4. We are focused on getting all our on-prem customers in the smoothest way possible, whether they're on ERP or Unit4 financials, into our SaaS. And we've developed a set of tools and methodologies. So you've heard of the cloud migration assessment. You've heard of our methodology to onboard our customers. I am very happy to have one of my colleagues directly from my team here, Diogo from Portugal, that came as well. He's working a lot with our US customers, U4F and ERP, but focusing quite a lot on U4F customers, getting them smoothly into our SaaS. And that's it. Today, very happy to be here.
Thanks, Benoit. So the key things we wanted to talk to you today in relation to the cloud, because we could talk about the cloud literally until the end of the day. Whether you'll still be sat here is a different matter. But two areas we wanted to cover is, firstly, why the cloud is suitable for you. Now, we believe the cloud is suitable for everyone. We're aware that not everyone in the audience will think that applies to them. So we wanted to do a bit of myth busting in that space. And we want to talk about how a cloud migration actually works. Because when you're talking about making a change to your business, either in technology or process, you don't just think about the end state, you think about how am I actually going to get there in the first place. And that in itself can be quite a scary prospect, especially if you're not used to dealing with change management within your organization. So Benoit's going to cover the why, and I'm going to cover the how. Before we do that, I wanted to ask you a little bit of a question, just because it's lunchtime and you've all had lots to eat, and see if anyone can tell me who these characters are. Anyone recognise them?
Debbie Harry?
No,
that was the previous question.
Yeah. I think you said her hair wasn't as good as mine, didn't you? So this is Chicken Licken or Chicken Little, depends on where you come from. And for those, does anyone not know who these characters are? Now I've mentioned their name. Wow, okay, so pitched that one wrong. I thought that was quite a universal kid's story. So it's an old fable anyway about a character who sees a cloud and thinks that the sky's falling in on them. Yeah, and they go through this journey where they realise that's actually not the case at all. And I am going to pace, sorry, because my legs cramp really quickly, so apologies. So we wanted to do the myth busting for you in this presentation and take away that fear that the cloud is something to be concerned about, or the journey to the cloud is very, very difficult. But first of all, as I say, we want to cover why you should even consider the cloud in the first place, and you definitely should. And for that, I shall hand you over to Benoit.
Thank you. So yes, Chris called me and said, okay, in a couple of weeks, we got to present the benefits of cloud. So I said, okay, fine, that's great. So I put together a 50-slide deck, and I said, okay, here you go. He said, you only have 10 minutes. I said, okay. Well, pick the best of them. So I hope this will resonate with you. We've got a few key benefits that we're going to be presenting here as a summary slide, and then we'll drill down in a couple of them. We can regroup those 8 loosely. Like, one of them is the two first one is lowering your overall cost and reducing your IT capital expenditure. And this is all about reducing your total cost of ownership. So don't forget to also factor, looking forward, all the economies of scales that you can bring by going to SaaS. And we had a quick look at what Gartner's predicting on this, and is predicting that on-premises deployment will cost 4 times more than SaaS platforms going forward. Cloud also frees up a lot of your internal resources to focus on more business-focused areas. So it helps shift the focus the companies to consume the best-in-class innovation by staying up to date, consuming all the innovation. I'll touch on that at the end of this presentation. And it's also really about using the right technology at the right time. You know, I think last time I checked, we're in 2023. It's no use of us using technology that is, I think Dave said, 6 years old, at least, for the 3-year cycles that he was following before. So, yeah, it's important to have this latest technology. It's also important for employee engagement to have, to be using the right tools within the organization and support them during this change to a better hybrid working environment. Also important is to talk about data security, business continuity. It's a key area that we're going to be covering actually in the next session with more detail, providing you the organizational, the infrastructure, the resilience for your business to grow and for you to focus on your customers. So let's look a little bit in more details. First one.
I'm just going to pass you that, and apologies for interrupting.
No problem.
I just need to warm this up. Sorry.
So, if I look this is an iceberg. On the top of the icebergs are the obvious elements that are considered when you're comparing your on-prem solution to your cloud solution. There's the license and the maintenance and the server cost. This is the first thing you see, and it's a bit and similar when you buy a car. Mostly you buy the car, you look at the price, maybe you look at the insurance, but you don't look at the full maintenance. So you look at the one-time payment, but not the full cost of ownership. If we look a little bit, these are like the obvious costs. But if we look a little bit more in detail, we can see that there's also IT and maintenance costs that are rolled up into this, the support of the application. There is also the cost that you can have when if you had simplified integrations, the minimal downtime and the quick restoration to reduce your operational downtime, and very important, the highest security standards. Because what you might realize is that the obvious costs are above the surface, but potentially the huge costs are below the surface. And you only become aware of some of those when the disaster strikes. And that's what we want to cover here. Here, we're going to talk about business continuity. You need to have a system that runs with the most efficiency. The business continuity service that we develop, they occur when you have a major outage in your organization. And the scope is infrastructure, software, data, and communication links. We have a full documented disaster recovery plan. We leverage our partnership with Azure to have redundancy data centers to restart your activity. And we monitor continuously these disaster recovery plans to make them better on a yearly basis, and we can share the results of these recovery plans on a yearly basis. We can show you how we reach those SLA numbers that you have here on screen. So we guarantee you an availability of 99.8, an RTO of 12 hours, and an RPO of 1 hour. 99.8 is bundled into our contract. So if we don't meet this availability target, you get a service credit on your subscription. And the RTO 12 hours and the RPO 1 hour means that we guarantee that we bring back, in case of a major outage, we bring back the system back to operations within 12 hours and with no more than 1 hour loss of data. Minimizing risk. So I know we have a great conference, half an hour's conference coming after this one. It's all about leveraging the key strategic partnership that we have with Microsoft. They're providing us the backbone for Unit4 Financial's cloud platform, but also for all our SaaS services. Microsoft is a public cloud provider that spends the most on all aspects of security, information security. So you can directly benefit from the army of resources of the bulk of the investment that Microsoft is putting on the table here by using our solutions. And we use the redundancy, we use their geopolitical zones, and we're quite widespread across the world. And we follow the highest security standards that Microsoft puts in place. And you can go to their website, they have a huge collection of certifications and proofs of all the work that they're doing in that space. But on top of what Microsoft does, we also have 80 or growing number of people that are dedicated to supporting the application and ensuring that your application is always up to date with the latest security patches, the protocols, et cetera, et cetera. Another important factor is how we connect to the application. I think Dave already mentioned it before, so it's just a long-running joke between myself and Dave. Federated authentication, which provides you this SSO, single sign-on type experience, whilst linking back to your identity provider. So that's an important element of when you're using our SaaS solution. And another important aspect is all the accreditations and certification that we get, which demonstrate our commitment to security and reliability. It's a key, for example, the SOC 2 report is focused on Unit4 as a service provider, as a Unit4 basically cloud, the service that you're consuming from us, to have all the controls, security, availability, the processing, and the confidentiality and privacy. All these elements are checked on a yearly basis. This year was KPMG, I think, that has gone through all those procedures, making sure that your business and effectively your users are confident on the integrity and the security of the data that they're using. Last but not least, staying up to date. Again, it was taken from a large part of a large slide deck that we had worked on together. It's all about what, for me, it's the key point of what users, businesses want to get from SaaS. Staying on the latest innovation, making sure that everything is happening in the background to stay safe, but to stay also with the latest features, the latest improvements and fixes continuously and seamlessly. This is the continuous updates that I think also Dave mentioned in the way that they're also working as a development team in those scrums, making sure that I'm witnessing on every 2 weeks I can actually see the elements that are being built by those teams, and I can see the customers using it when they're in cloud. Within another 3 months, I can see them live with those new features. So I think I've covered most of what I wanted to say, but as you've heard from this morning's presentation, from Jane and Dave, the Unit4 financial teams are working hard on building this continuous, and they're muscling up to bring more innovation to the solution. But Unit4 Financials in cloud is to be seen tightly linked with all the other services that are SaaS only, that are provided by Unit4. So it's not just Unit4. We saw that slide with Unit4 Financials by Code at the center, but it's really that ecosystem. And this is what Unit4 Cloud is the only way for you to consume all this innovation. So Chris, over to you. Tell us how we're going to get there.
Thank you very much. So, apologies for walking off a second ago. So, how do we get there? So, there's a path to going to the cloud, okay? Again, I really want to call out a few key areas for this, because if you get these two areas, then it will hopefully arrest a lot of concern or lack of understanding or appreciation for how you do it, okay? So the first thing we do is a cloud migration assessment. So hands up if you have heard of the cloud migration assessment. Well, that's good. Excellent. So the CMA, for those of you who don't know what it is, runs in the background. It's a piece of software developed by Unit4, runs in the background, and it understands your current use case from a technical and a high level from a functional perspective of the product suite. Yeah. So everything from the size of your database, what modules you're using, etc., etc., etc. So from that, instantly it produces a report, and I'll show you a quick snapshot of part of it. It produces a report which gives us a lot of intelligence straight up off the bat, so we know how you're likely to use the cloud environment. Okay, so we also engage and work with you to understand your business drivers. Why are you going to the cloud? What is your actual aspiration as a business? Where do you see yourselves in terms of growth and your third parties that you work with, and going on that journey with you. Yeah, and when we do this, it clearly gives us an indication of how ready we think you are, actually from a technical perspective and a use case perspective, to go to the cloud. And there's obviously a layer on top of that, which is, it boils down to maturity of change management in an organization. Everyone deals with it differently, and everyone has different experiences. And you say change management alone, if you put change management and cloud together, both of them can be quite scary prospects. So we work with you to understand where you are along that journey and the appetite for change, stakeholder management, etc., etc. Okay, so the cloud migration assessment, it gives a really succinct breakdown of various details about your business, and we can send this slide deck to you, no problem at all. So don't feel like you need to read it all, but it helps us understand, as I say, where you are. We then put together a proposal for not just what that package looks like for you, but how you would get to the target operating model and the future state architecture of the cloud. So one of the things, again, we want to do, and this is when I say we, I'm talking Unit4 and Millennium together, is give you clear costs, so there is nothing masked. There are plenty of vendors out there, and I'm sure you have fallen foul of them, some people in here, who will go in and lowball you on the price of doing a migration or implementing a piece of their software, and you'll get halfway through the project and it will suddenly expand way out of your budget. Yeah, we won't do that. We've done this so many times before, and we know the product so well, and in many cases we know the customer so well, that we can combine to put together a really good package that we can commit to in terms of cost for professional services and technology. We at Millennium are a change management company, so it's our business to help you move from one thing to another, and part of that is minimal disruption to your business. Because again, there will be people out there thinking, I haven't got time to do this, I've got a day job and you now want to put me on the cloud. When am I supposed to do that? Because I don't have enough time to do my day job as it is, let alone be involved in a project that, experience will tell me all projects just drag on forever and never get delivered, which is simply not the case here. We have a highly experienced team. If you think about everything you've heard today so far about Millennium Consulting, and you think about everything you know and heard about Unit4, and you combine that together, try and find a combination that can do that in a more efficient and expert manner, because you won't. And we can support you with a business case. So lots of people want to go to the cloud, but you've got to get the money from the business, and you might not be the main decision maker. So we will help walk through the business case with you. Once we understand what the process looks like, what our recommended process to you is, what the cost looks like, we can help you write that business case. Yeah. So I used a piece of, we spoke a few times about AI today. I've used a piece of AI to write a piece of art for me, and I asked it to show me different sizes. I called it t-shirt sizing. Yeah, small, medium, large. Yeah, so sizes that are there to fit you, and do it in the Millennium branding, and it did. But it just goes to show how good AI are. because it's put the sizes the wrong way around. So the bigger the size, the smaller the number. But so that one wasn't me, unlike the spelling mistake on the other slide deck. So what we do at Millennium is we'll work out for you, or we'll work out with you, what the complexity looks like, and we've already got it bundled up in a package, so we can just go if it's that size. Yeah. Now, it's that sounds like a gross oversimplification for something that's very, very big and very, very important to you. But generally speaking, we can do that with a great degree of success. It's either small and easy, medium, and somewhere in between, large but known, or it's going to be customized. Yeah. Most are not customized, and a lot of people will be sat there thinking will be customized because we're a vertical we operate in the industry we operate in, and the stakeholders that we've got is going to be really, really difficult. But I promise you, everything that we've ever heard about complexity of a cloud migration from our customers has all been done before. Yeah. So once we've gone through the assessment and we understand the challenges you guys are going to face, once we've proposed the migration and the commercials, we unsurprisingly go through the actual migration process. And this is, I put this prepare in brackets people and technology, because this is really, really key. Yeah, we could do a lift and shift of a database, help you move a few integrations around, etc., etc. Yeah, that's technology. Yeah, there's half a dozen people in this room right now who could do that for you. But the people side of it's really important as well, because you've got some, you potentially have you might be a really small business, but you might be a really big business, lots and lots of different stakeholders, all who have different opinions on whether we should or shouldn't be going through this journey together. And what we want to do is make sure that journey is smooth as possible for those people, because those people probably are the people that are going to ultimately their actions determine whether it succeeds or fails. So that stakeholder management and that people preparation in the people space is really, really important, and we've got a long history of doing that with success. Migrate, clearly part of the migration, yeah, pretty important part. But once everything's lined up, then the migration is just a project, yeah? Now, I can probably, if any of my PMs are in there here today going, just a project, come on, Chris, gross oversimplification, but it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, yeah? And a group of actors, as it's called in the industry, who see that through, yeah? We validate that what's been migrated is correct, tested thoroughly by us, by Unit4, by you guys, and then we deploy. And lastly is the BAU space. This is another piece of AI art. I asked it to draw me someone looking up at the cloud in appreciation, which I thought overall it did quite well. I'm not entirely certain about the rain, but I thought I'd leave it in there for a laugh just to spice things up. You can't always trust an AI, as I'm sure Ben's about to talk to you about in a minute. So we evaluate and support, yeah? How well did it work? What are the lessons learned? Has everything gone smoothly? Are you happy with it? And how can we help support you going forward? And that is, again, it's entirely up to you. That can be with Unit4, it can be Unit4 with Millennium. It depends on your needs and how you want to play it. So you're not bound to have ongoing support in certain ways, except for clearly your standard support and maintenance, which you will have today with your current version of Unit4 financials. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. If you're interested in the cloud, or if you want to know more, then do please come and speak to any one of the Unit4 or Millennium team, and we'll happily pick up the conversation with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.